What is up, guys? This is Lintheo coming at you with an updated version of my Herald of Ultimateness deck. Now, a lot of people have been asking for this since the first one that I put up, an updated version, so here it is. I hope you do enjoy it, and we'll get straight into it. So there haven't been that many changes as such, because this deck runs quite kind of standard, but we'll go into it anyway, and I'll show you what it is. So starting off, we have the 3 Herald of Ultimateness. I don't play Herald of Perfection, and I don't play Saphira either, because the main goal of this deck is to get this out. That's why you play the Gale Dogras. The only reason you want to actually ritual summon in this deck is to get this bad boy out. Do you know what this is? It's basically the same as Herald of Perfection, where it can discard a fairy to negate a spell, monster, or a trap effect, but it also can stop special summons. So if you stop a pendulum summon, they all go to the graveyard because you're negating the summon. So that is a very important one, really nice. Interesting thing about this against meta decks, for example, Nakloths, if you do manage to get this out, which isn't too difficult, if you do manage to get it out, it's very, very difficult for them to actually get over it. Now, I know that they main Decisive Armor, which can technically punch over it, but you can just stop everything. So, Herald of Perfection and Herald of Ultimateness in this instance is just really, really nice. So going into the standards, we have the 3 Manju. There's no real need to say anything else. I only play the Manjus. I don't play the Senjus or the Sonic Birds in this because I feel they clog quite a lot. And I just hate drawing into them, so we just play the 3 Manju as per usual. 3 Gale Dogra. You want to open, ideally you want to open this, and you want to open up Christia because it has a kind of big lock straight away, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. But Gale Dogra's in here at 3s. It's annoying that it isn't a fairy. If it was a fairy, it'd be so broke. But great card in general for this deck. So I'll show you the little the combo once I get into the extra deck. The 3 Megami, kind of standard. You have to run these. You don't run 2 because you need 2 for the actual summon of 1 Herald. People say that if I draw 2 of these, how do you get it back in? Well, you can get it back in with like Daigusto Emerald, for example, and things like that, because you can discard with Izami. But at the end of the day, if you've drawn 2 of these, it's not going to look very good for you because, and I know a lot of people might say, whoa, what's the point of running that? This is the problem with old school ritual decks. This is the problem with decks that have to rely on tributing things from the hand and that aren't as flexible and ridiculously as consistent as Nakloths. So this is just one of the downsides to it. People picking at that fact is, well, you just let it go, because at the end of the day, that's the weakness that the deck has, and it's always going to have that weakness unless we get some form of ritual spell like Nakloths have. So going on to the Spirit Engine, still my favourite engine. At least until Star Cephas come out, because they're stupid. So we have the 3 Aratama to search. There's nice loops with that, just, you know, keep drawing off. Keep searching, sorry. The 3 Nikotama, it's just the best one, in my opinion. The plays you can do with this is just so good. Also, the plays with 2 of these, Izami, you can discard this and then get it back and draw a card. Nice loops, especially when you have Herald of Ultimateness on board. So that's really nice. It's important to have them. Then the one-offs, we have the 1 Yaksha and the 1 Ryatsu. These 2 you can side in more if you so wish, because they both have really, really great functionalities for the deck. This just allows you to bounce back row, and if you're up against something like a Lightning Imprisoning Mirror or a Vanities or anything like that, Yaksha is really great for just getting rid of it. Ryatsu is also great against things like Burning Abyss or also Nakloths, just getting rid of those monsters on board. And being able to just kind of push a little bit. So Ryatsu is really great. You can catch a lot of people off guard if you just set him, because then he gets flipped up, you reveal the spirit, and you bounce whatever is back to the hand. Really great against things like Dante. And then we have the 3 Arclord Christia. So the reason why I run 3 is because you want to see it as quickly as possible, because you will want to see it with this bad boy, Gale Dogra. So the whole thing about this is, you'll summon Gale Dogra, and if you just have this in hand, for example, summon the Gale Dogra, activate the effect to send the Herald of Arclights to the graveyard twice. You pay 3,000, pay 3,000, left on 2,000. You search out 2 of your rituals, or your ritual spell, one or the other. Then you will actually ritual summon for, obviously, Herald of Ultimateness, sending another 2 Megamis to the grave. So you now have 4 fairies in grave, because the Herald of Arclights are fairies. And then you can just special summon your Christia and add another thing back, and you will be left on the field with an Arclight. Sorry, you get left on the field with a Christia and also a Herald of So that is the kind of nice lock that you can do. It's really, really good. And as I said, you only need 2 cards in your opening hand to do it. So it's actually not as difficult as a lot of people say. 2, Honest. Honest is just amazing, and obviously it's needed in every form of light deck like this. So Honest is just great. It's a staple at 2 in my opinion in this deck, because it just means you can push a little bit harder. 2 Gel and Duos. I've got this in here because if you do get slightly brickier hands, you can just set this and stall out a little bit, really. Not a lot of decks can really get over it as such. They have to kind of overextend a little bit to get over it. Nakloths obviously can use things like Trishula, but if you do have this first turn and you're just stalling out and you don't have anything in your grave, it's a really great card to stop them, because they can't actually Trishula, because you do have to have active targets in all areas, so the hand, the field, and the graveyard. So Gel and Duo is great, and as I always do say, you can just double tribute it for Christia if you so wish. Still rocking the one Metaion. Metaion's great because it just removes all of those horrible locks. It removes all the Dantes back to that extra deck. It removes the Djinn lock because you're sending the monsters back. It's just a really solid card, and if you do wish, you can main more if you so want, but I will normally always side them. I don't do side videos unless it's a tournament report, because the meta's always changing. So if it is another option that you want me to do side deck kind of discussions, that's another video in my opinion. So that's 30 monsters. Going on to the spells, we have the 3 Upstart Goblin, Hoban even, of course. So we have the 3 Upstart Goblins. These are here because you just want a bit of speed in the deck. You don't mind giving your opponent life points because you are controlling the duel. And these are the amazing supers that I got in a collection, so that's really, really nice. The 2 Advanced Ritual have to have it. I still don't know why this isn't at 3. It kind of baffles my mind, and I'm still waiting for the time when it is at 3, because I have my 3rd one in my folder somewhere. So really don't understand why that's not at 3, but hey, we have to just roll the punches. So you play the maximum amount in this deck. 2 MST. This is here just because, although back row isn't used as such anymore, it's only used in, let's say, some very different Burning Abyss style plays, decks even, Satella Knights, and sometimes Quillfort, because obviously you use the sacrifice and the skill drains. But nevertheless, this is here mainly for the skill drains and also for the vanities. So if you activate the ARA, they chain the vanities, you want to be able to have access to this. Obviously, you do have things like Yaksha to bounce the back row, but it's nice just to have a MST in hand just to kind of protect yourself a little bit, because, as I said, if they flip the vanities on you, it's a little bit sad because you just neg yourself, and yeah. Then going on to the final one-offs, we have the 1 Snatch Steal, because this card is absolutely amazing in my opinion. It's just one of the best cards in the game right now. The 1 Raigeki, because there's nothing like clearing your opponent's field. Use it wisely against certain decks, even like Burning Abyss, because if you have that and Herald out, you can really do well against it. And then finally the 1 Soul Charge. So that is just here for general goodness. So then going on to our extra deck, we have 2 copies of Herald of Arclight. You only need 2 because, well, simply because you only have the ability to pay for twice of activating Gale Dogra. Because if you activate it anymore, you're going to kill yourself because you don't have 9,000 life points. So even if you get Breakthrough or Vanities or whatever, even though Vanities wouldn't work, but even if you get the effect negated and you lose the 3,000, there's no point having any more copies of this in your extra deck because you're just wasting spaces. Because as I said, you can only pay for 2, so that is kind of why you only run 2. But it's still an imperative card in this deck. Just the rank 6s for the Megamis, we have the 1 M7 because it's nice to be able to go into a big monster that also can get extra Herald fodder from the grave, or even just bounce something that's a bit annoying. The 1 Utopia Beyond, really like this card because it just opens up a couple of really, really powerful plays. In the fact that you just make everything 0 on your opponent's side of the field that are in attack position, and it just means you can really push for a little bit of game. And they're the only rank 6s that I actually run. The Photo Strike Bouncer can be used if you so wish, but it just was a little bit lackluster in the end for me when I was actually testing, so yeah. So going on to the rank 4s, we have the 1 Exeter Knight. A lot of these are going to be very, very standard. The 1 Larval Chain, in case you want to fill up your grave or just make some crustier plays. The 1 Daiguster Emerald, in case you need to recycle anything back into the grave, into the deck, sorry, like the Megamis. Pretty important card, to be honest. The 1 Omega, if you just want to make something that can dodge some back row, or try and bait anything out, it's actually quite a good card. The one Paladynamo, just for any effect negations or some big pushes as well. The one Castell, one of the best XEs that I feel in the game currently, just the ability to stop your opponent from doing things. The one Gaga Cowboy, which is always a great card to have, and then the one that always goes with it is Abyss Dweller, absolutely incredible card. The one Cargon, just great for putting on board if you can. If you've got Herald of Ultimateness out, it's always nice to make this if you can with the Aratama Nikotama play, because it just means that if they do have the breakthroughs and things like that, you can just shift it onto this card and keep your Herald alive. The one Rhapsody, again, to get rid of the breakthroughs from grave. It's really nice if they try and break through you in your turn, and you can then just go, okay, well, I'm just going to make this main phase 2 or main phase 1, whatever. Really, really solid card. And then finally, the one Fairy Cheergale. This is here just for any additional plus plays. If I have more spirits on board, for example, I can go into use Aratama Nikotama, for example, overlay into like this and detach the Nikotama to draw it eventually too, because Nikotama is going to the grave if I do have a monster on the field. So that is pretty standard. So that is it, guys. I hope you really did enjoy it. A lot of people are asking for it, so I hope you did enjoy the update. As I said, there weren't that many changes, if I'm completely honest, because the way that the deck runs is kind of very standard. It has one goal, is to get Dogra as quickly as possible, or is to get this card out basically as quickly as possible. So opening that or a Manju or whatever is kind of the main goal, so it's not really going to stray from that. It's only going to be any tech choices, so things like the Mataion and things like that will be the ones that you want to change out. You can add things like the One Day of Peace if you so wish, to take out the MSTs or anything like that. They're also good choices. The matchup that this has against kind of the meta decks isn't too bad, if I'm completely honest. I mean, if you summon Herald, that's obviously going to be the game-winning thing, because it is difficult for some people to get over. Some decks do struggle with it, and I mean, what deck doesn't struggle with a 3k defender that can negate basically everything apart from counter traps, including special summons? So that is it, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of the deck, if you love it or hate it or anything like that. And I said, just let me know down in the comment section below. So like, comment, subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.